Okay, welcome everybody. I am so pleased to introduce you all to Tiffany, who is joining us today. Tiffany, thank you for joining us. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here. My name is Tiffany Dalton. I am the practice administrator at Murdock Family Dentistry in Billings, Montana. I have been there for 10 and a half years. I am also the chapter president of the Yellowstone Valley AADOM Chapter and do a lot with AADOM and the great work that they do. And here to learn more about marketing.
Yay, and we're so glad you are here. So Tiffany has agreed to be our guinea pig to work with us in working through developing a customer persona. And this is a really amazing exercise for anyone who really wants to hone in their messaging, define the offers that they want to have out there. It's a really good tool for you to have in your foundation as you get ready to plan out your marketing for the year. So Tiffany, we're going to kind of walk you through this exercise. And to get started, what I want you to do is I want you to picture one of your dream clients, and it can be an actual patient. It could be a combination of a couple of different patients. So get that person in your mind and kind of really think about who they are, what they care about, and then we'll work through these questions together. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay. So can you tell me your dream patient's demographics? What's their gender, their rough age range, industry, that kind of information?
Sure. I can think of a couple of examples, but to focus on one specifically, I would say female working mom with multiple kids, married, maybe mid to late 40s in business or healthcare, maybe teaching, but definitely career oriented, but family oriented as well. Kind of a little bit good mix of both.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Let's give her a name, a fake name, since we don't want to violate any HIPAA.
Oh,
let's give her
dear. Mary.
Mary. Okay. All right. So what are some of the things that Mary really desires? What are some of the things she hopes for, dreams for, plans for?
I would say maybe more vacations with family, taking time away from work as much as she enjoys to do what she does. Future like fun events, fun social things, maybe some big home improvement projects, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. What are Mary's professional goals?
I would say career advancement, and depending on the career, of course, could be multiple different things. So she likes to learn new things. She likes to be part of organizations that make a difference in the community. And she has really strong family values. So definitely would want to be sure to lead by example for her family and provide for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think with that, you kind of also answered some of her personal goals too, which spot on. Okay. So what are some of Mary's hobbies and interests? You mentioned vacations. What are some of the other things that Mary spends her time on and her money on?
Ooh. Kids sports. Yeah, I could see home improvement projects or something crafty, maybe gardening, something outside during nice weather times. Yeah, travel, vacations, camping, things like that with the kids, family oriented things. For some reason, I see her spending more time with and around her family than she does on herself.
Yes. This is a classic,
maybe
classic mom behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So Mary enjoys home improvement projects, crafting, family time. She's probably running the kids to their different sporting events. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that Mary searches for on Google?
Maybe that's where she spends her personal time, self-care, beauty tips, recipes for cooking, things like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
She's probably also Googling things for the family too, right?
Yes. So yeah, family things. It could be equipment. It could be what other family things could you do? Well, appointments, maintenance for the house, maintenance for the family, things like that.
Yeah. All right. What are some of Mary's favorite brands?
That one's hard for me because I'm not a brand person. Probably Target, because everybody loves Target. Ulta Beauty. I suppose she could be an iPhone music or Apple person. Most people are. That one's hard for me because I'm not a brand person at all.
Mary probably loves to shop at Target because we all love to shop at Target, but she probably also loves like Home Goods and places like that, huh?
Yeah.
I identify with Mary. I like those things too. Okay, so what are some of Mary's guilty pleasures?
Let's see. I would say that Mary has a little bit of a fun side. She likes to go to festivals or concerts, to do the fun social things outside of family and work. I think that would be a good guilty pleasure to have. Maybe some weekend getaways, a Netflix show here or there, maybe.
Love that. Maybe some time with friends, even maybe like
Yeah.
a girls' night.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Something out, some social outing for sure, whether it be a ladies' night or a group of married couple friends that don't get time away from kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to what you mentioned earlier too, about she's probably the type of mom who takes care of everybody else's needs before her own, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you think that maybe even like self-care or doing something for herself, she might consider to be a bit of a guilty pleasure?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to get her hair done, maybe a set of nails now and then, some personal shopping for herself instead of kids' sports stuff now and then. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Which social media platforms do you think Mary uses the most?
I would say your typical Facebook, Instagram, maybe some LinkedIn, business connections. Yeah.
Perfect. What about communication? Do you think she prefers phone calls or text messages?
I think she's a convenience person, text messages, emails, something that's quick and easy while she's multitasking all of the other things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so let's talk about some of Mary's fears. What are some of the things that Mary worries about, is anxious about? What keeps her up at night?
I would say worrying about family and home. So personal health things, family health things, economy, your typical bills and home business that you have to keep track of. Depending on a career, of course, you could bring some of that home and worry about that through the evening hours. But really just home needs and overall health, I feel.
Yeah, good. What does Mary have any limiting beliefs?
That maybe some things can't change or some things won't change, whatever the topic may be. So it is what it is, or something I can do about it. So go along with the flow of things. And so some things are out of her control.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I'm almost picturing a mom even thinking like some limiting beliefs could even be like going back to that bit about how she takes care of everybody else and probably takes care of herself last. She may have some limiting beliefs like, that's never going to change, or I'm never going to be able to do something for myself until the kids are off at college, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I can't do that because so-and-so needs me, when really that so-and-so is probably fine and she can go and do her thing. But she thinks that she has to take care of that first in order to get to that guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Do you think Mary has a hard time saying no to people?
Very likely. Yeah.
I feel like I'm identifying with Mary.
A little bit. Most definitely.
Okay. So what is embarrassing to Mary?
Self-image things. I think that maybe she doesn't have a very good self-image of herself, whether it be her smile or her looks in general. Maybe her wardrobe, maybe she feels like she's in frumpy mom stage versus at the same time, I also feel like Mary kind of takes care of herself. Well, like, I think that she's classy, but I think that she feels like she could be lacking in that self-image.
Yeah. I feel like someone could feel on both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Simultaneously at time, busy professional, but also worrying, am I keeping up? And is this a mom outfit?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's make a connection then between everything that we've just learned about Mary and your practice. So before we do that, could you tell everyone watching what kind of a practice you have? What are some of your, primary services? Who are you generally serving?
Sure. So we're actually a small single doctor practice, fee for service, much different than some of the larger ones that are out there. Our doctor is a general who focuses on overall systemic health, but also is amazing in his, how would you say, I'm losing my words for a second. What is it that we do? His general aesthetics. So he focuses on function and overall health for the patient. And we do a lot of basic restorations, but we do a lot of extensive restorations as well, all the way to Smile Designs, complete reconstruction with restorations, some implants here and there, but lots of crowns and even just basic care from whitening to periodontal health. And we kind of just focus on the whole family from all age groups, and all of the general practice services that you can think of. I'm sorry, I'm not explaining that very well.
Now that we know Mary quite intimately, which of your practices services do you think Mary would be most interested in?
I think that she would like the fact that we can service the whole family. We can see and take care of everybody. But I think that she would be interested in learning more about maybe some whitening or what she can do, those guilty pleasures for herself that she can maybe dive into.
Which of your services might Mary need, but not be aware that she needs?
Sure. And this one we actually come up against more often than you may think, that people don't really know the options within dentistry. And I think that she would be very interested in fixing something about her smile that she didn't know she could fix, whether it be overcrowding or just the general overall look of her teeth. And so we do a lot of what we call smile designs, and it's kind of going in and recreating a smile that fits the patient in a different way, but at the same time building the function. So maybe she suffers from headaches and didn't realize it, and her occlusion is off a little bit, and we can help her not only rebuild that occlusion to more ideal, but also build her a beautiful smile in the process of doing so.
I love that. Yeah. So I'm going to combine the next two questions because I think they kind of go hand in hand, and you've already started to answer them. How does Smile Design benefit her, but also how does it align with some of her dreams and her goals for herself?
Absolutely. So the benefit would be not only if she were to have some underlying headaches or jaw pain that she didn't realize that she was suffering from or ignoring, maybe the process can help with that and realigning things for her, which builds confidence. It helps her self-worth increase significantly. So maybe she's going to go for something different within her career choice that she didn't think that she could before, because her confidence level is at a much higher state. Or maybe she's just happier in general because she feels better about herself in her home life, in her business life, or both. And maybe she spends more time with her friends now because she has that confidence and that self-worth that is just starting to be built up because she has I won't say because she has a prettier smile, because she feels better in what she's living in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what challenges might Mary face in saying yes to Smile Design for herself?
Spending money on herself instead of her home and family, I think, is definitely the biggest one. And spending money in general is always going to be a barrier, but most specifically spending that kind of money specifically and only for her is a huge barrier.
What do you think would help Mary overcome that barrier?
Really kind of guiding her to realize what the options are within a plan like that. Letting her know that not only is it okay to invest in herself, and it is quite the investment, not only financially, but time. It takes time to get to the point of completion with those cases. But the time and money always are well spent when you're at the other end of it. And seeing that transformation is life-changing, not only for the patient, but for the practice that gets to help a patient get to that point. So I really just being upfront and honest on how the process works, and allowing them time to kind of ingest that. I think sometimes practices can be aggressive, and it's going to have to happen on the first conversation. And really, sometimes it takes a couple of years to get to the point to where, okay, I think I'm ready to do this thing for myself. So guidance, time, knowledge, just giving them as much tools as they can to get to the point of them wanting to do it for themselves.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, that completes the end of our exercise, Tiffany. You did fantastic. I'll give you a round of applause. Thank you. And I really feel like we know Mary now, and we can tailor our content and our social media and your website and all of your marketing messaging to really talk to Mary. And that's not going to alienate other people. It's not going to, knowing that you're talking to Mary isn't going to make other people not listen. But I think we have really good information here. And so thank you so much for taking time to go through this exercise with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for thinking of me. It's good to see you, ladies.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are post customer persona exercise with Tiffany. Went through the exercise, and we've pulled on Mel, who is our content director, to give us feedback. What other questions might she want to know from a content perspective? So Mel, we'd love to hear your feedback on how that all went.
Yeah. So Tiffany, I think you answered the questions beautifully. As a copywriter, I would have a lot of information to work with to write your marketing copy, like website, blog posts, social media posts, anything in general. Some questions I would want to dive deeper into was when we got into her limiting beliefs. You brought up that she can't control changes, right? Yeah. So my follow-up would be like, why does she think that?
Sure. It's actually a really good question. Is it a confidence issue? Is there something that literally is physically holding her back from doing that? That would be hard to say. Maybe it's a location thing. Maybe it's a home thing. Maybe it's a job thing. The job won't let me advance here. Or you could also say things that can't change, won't change. Well, socially, coming off of the last 2 years that we have had, is there something that is still happening? Because for example, where I'm at in Montana versus where some of you guys are at, we're much more open than other people are. And so we have a little bit more leeway to physically go and do things versus others. And so it's different, I feel, throughout the entire country. There definitely could be some actual physical barriers there that are keeping her back from something.
In your area, what would you say would be the top barrier of why she would think that?
I think we're fairly, well, I'm not gonna say back to normal because there's no such thing, but we're fairly open here as far as that is concerned. So I think that if it were to be someone specifically in my area, if it's a geographical thing, it's going to be distance, right? We see a lot of rural patients. So traveling in, that's a limit that we see often. Otherwise, it's going to be personal issues. Can I afford it with everything that's going on? Afford to change the thing, whatever the thing may be. And then if it's not an actual physical barrier that's holding her back from something that she can or cannot change, then it reverts back into, I feel, a psychological portion of things where I don't have the confidence to do that thing or change that things, or maybe she's not married and is single or over divorce. And so there's a limiting factor there, because we see a lot more of that, I feel, where it's mixed families. And so there's barriers there. Honestly, I think when I initially wrote the things that she can and can't change, it's mostly interpersonal. I can't change it, so I'm not even going to worry about it. So I'm just going to do what everybody else expects me to do, type of thing. But you can play it on multiple different views, if that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I ask that is because if we tell them what they want to hear, then in our marketing copy, we could address that limiting beliefs as, okay, you probably think it's not your time to change your smile. You're just way too far away. It's not worth the drive, but here's X, Y, and Z on why it is. And it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about education. So it's kind of just bringing that education in, just showing that empathy that you understand them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just had one more question. We talked about her, like what she worries about, what are her fears, what keeps her up at night. You mentioned health issues. Could you go deeper into that? Like why, if she were to wake up at 2 a.m. with night sweats, why would it be health issues?
I guess that one's hard. I think that when I originally had put that out there, I guess I put a little bit of myself in that, and I worry about my kids' health, making sure that they are staying healthy, more mentally than physically. So the mental health of my children is definitely a hard thing. I also have a husband who has severe heart problems. So it could be a spouse who has some health concerns. So therefore, once again, she's putting their health concerns and fears in front of hers. And so is she healthy? Is she really getting the help that she needs? I think that other health could be, just the health of the home, or is she getting to all of the needs? Were all of the needs met before she went to bed, or were so many things left undone, and so she can't sleep at night because too much was left undone, so she has to go back and either finish things, or with work related things, it could be undone tasks. I could see keeping somebody up at night for that as well.
Awesome, thank you. That just helps us paint like a very clear picture of knowing Mary even more intimately. So then I can see very, very clearly how she definitely puts her family before her. Like it's all about family. So maybe our copyright really focuses on that family element of health and overall wellness, because that's what your office really focuses on.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask that follow-up question, but I didn't have anything else to follow up besides that.
Yeah, Mel, those are great follow-up questions. And Tiffany, I think, I'd love to hear your perspective on going through this exercise, having Mary in mind as a target customer. Does that influence you in like planning out social media content or thinking about what you want your website to convey? Has this exercise kind of given you a firmer idea of what you're trying to say and who you're trying to say it to?
It actually does. Like I was saying before, it does make you deep dive into not only what the perfect patient is, but honestly, this is a mix of a lot of patients that I see on a daily basis. It's all of them. I think most average human beings at this moment is focusing on one or more of the things that are in this worksheet. And so it does break it down. And what we have focused on, especially in the last few years, but what we want to focus on this year is the overall health, including the mental health of our patients, and not necessarily getting into chair-side mental health things, but checking in differently when they do come in, remembering things differently about them. So when they come back in, we have that little extra piece of care and empathy, as you had mentioned earlier. That seems to be going a lot farther these days than low fees or being PPO with providers. It's the experience that they get. It's the feeling that they have when they are with you. It is, we get to be that we get to be that guilty pleasure. We're like the spa day for your mouth. You get an hour to sit and have to yourself, whether you're nervous about it or not. We make you comfortable when you're here. And so we're trying to shift the mindset around dentistry and how it can be a positive experience. And we have your kids and they have a blast. And we help you take care of your aging parent who is difficult to understand and go through these really, really hard times. We see a lot more recently of our mentally failing seniors and the help that the kids need in taking care of those mentally failing seniors. And so it changes it. It makes you think a lot more in regards to how can we help our patients be happier and healthier? And what does that look like? And how does that sound on paper? And how do you market towards that? So it was a huge help for me, actually.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned all of that, because that's what we really want to do with our marketing, right? You and your team are making an effort to be more empathetic and make those connections, and in a different way even than you were already doing when patients come in, right? And so we want our marketing messaging and anything that we're putting out there to be the same. We want to communicate that same level of empathy and really make patients feel comfortable with us, whether they're in the chair or not, really.
Absolutely. And like I said, that goes a lot farther than any of the financial things behind it. I mean, yes, that's still a big part of it, but the experience itself has to be at a much higher level than it was maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I'm glad the exercise was useful for you. It was definitely useful for us. So thank you again. And thanks, Mel, for offering the content team's perspective so that we can really write amazing copy.